If we go behind the podiums, you can see two green lights. When they're on, they signal to the candidate his microphone is on. When the green lights are off, they signal to the candidate his microphone is off. Now I want to give you a sense of what it will look like for viewers at home if a candidate whose microphone is off interrupts a candidate whose microphone is on. So I'm standing at one podium, and I'll ask Phil to come in and take the other podium. And so let's say I'm answering a question. My light is green, and I'm speaking. Phil's microphone is off, and his green lights are not illuminated. He's going to interrupt me as I'm speaking, and this is what it will sound like. My volume remains constant, while Phil's interruption can be difficult to understand.
Now, let's try the opposite. My microphone is now on. Victor's microphone is off, and he's going to interrupt me. My volume remains constant, while Victor's interruption can be difficult to understand. Now, CNN's production team has shared this demonstration with the campaigns earlier today, and we're sharing it with you, our viewers, so everyone fully understands how tomorrow night will work. Now, we should note, by agreeing to participate in this debate, both campaigns and candidates have also agreed to abide by these rules.
As you know, the first presidential debate is tonight between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Although with these rules, there will not be much debating at the debate. Unless Trump and Biden decide to start screaming so that they can be heard, this is basically going to sound like two different town halls with the candidates standing next to each other. This debate is a perfect example of our over-controlled, propaganda-riddled political world we're currently living in. First and foremost, there are two leftist moderators who will be moderating the event. Then they will be cutting the microphone when it is not your time to speak, so there's no debating back and forth. There will be no crowd in attendance, and there'll be multiple commercial breaks so that Biden can change his diaper.
What must be what? What must be what? What must be what?
As I mentioned, this will be moderated by Dana Bash and Jake Tapper, which means the questions will come from an anti-Trump, anti-conservative, anti-Republican standpoint, and the topics will only be ones that CNN wants to promote or push.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well on a national political stage. This time, of course, in the United States.
Look, unfortunately for America, the court isn't necessarily wrong that this is the way the framers wanted it to be.
If you needed further evidence of that, here's a question they're asking leading up to the debate.
Should President Biden shake Donald Trump's hand? Does he deserve that?
Well, that's up to President Biden. And I'm sure there's no love lost there. I wouldn't shake his hand.
Does he deserve that is quite the interesting way to ask that question. As far as the rules go, here's a breakdown by CNN talking about the system they created in order to get the desired outcome they wanted.
CNN political director David Chalian has more on the format, as Kristen Holmes just mentioned, the set of rules the two sides agreed to and how different this debate night will look because of it. So talk to us about the rules.
Well, Anderson, one of the biggest changes I think the viewer at home will see is no audience will be a part of this debate. It'll be the two candidates and the two moderators in the room there. Kristen, you heard mention that the microphones will be turned on for the designated speaker at the time they are designated to speak in the debate. His opponent's microphone will be turned off at that time. Timing lights are visible to the candidates throughout the debate, so they'll know when their time is running out. And the two candidate podiums are 8 feet apart from each other. Obviously, that's a lot closer than these two candidates were to each other on the debate stage compared to 4 years ago when we were in the height of COVID. Candidate A will get a question on that topic. They will have 2 minutes to answer that question. Then there will be a 1 minute response from candidate B, if you will, and another 1 minute response from candidate A. And then it flips the other way, staying within the broad topic area, but a different slice of a question related to that topic. Candidate B will get 2 minutes at that starter question. Candidate A gets a minute to respond. Candidate B gets a minute to respond. Of course, Jake and Dana at moderator discretion can ask a 1 minute follow-up, Anderson.
On top of that, CNN is threatening to copyright claim anyone who live streams the event, even with commentary. But of course, they're allowing certain networks to stream it simultaneously. The caveat that they're not allowed to add commentary unless it's before or after the debate. So again, the entire setup is to control the narrative as much as possible. They don't want an audience because Trump might get reactions like this.
Mr. Trump, one of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account
Only
has
Rosie
several...
O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't. Your Twitter account...
Thank you.
For the record, it was well beyond Rosie O'Donnell.
Yes, I'm sure it was.
Your Twitter account has several disparaging comments about women's looks. You once told a contestant on Celebrity Apprentice it would be a pretty picture to see her on her knees. Does that sound to you like the temperament of a man we should elect as president? And how will you answer the charge from Hillary Clinton, who is likely to be the Democratic nominee, that you are part of the war on women?
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either. This country is in big trouble. We don't win anymore. We lose to China. We lose to Mexico, both in trade and at the border. We lose to everybody. And frankly, what I say, and oftentimes it's fun, it's kidding, we have a good time, what I say is what I say. And honestly, Megyn, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that. But you know what? We need strength, we need energy, we need quickness, and we need brain in this country to turn it around. That I can tell you right now.
And then when it comes to cutting the microphones, they're trying to avoid Trump making Biden look like a senile old man, which he is. Imagine the current resident-in-chief having to deal with this version of Trump.
For example, you're the only person on the stage that's ever been fined for hiring people to work on your projects illegally. You hired some workers from Poland.
I'm the only one on the stage that's hired people. You haven't hired anybody.
Well, this is a tough business to run for president.
I know. You're a tough guy, Jeb.
And we need to have a leader that is principled. You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the presidency.
Let's see. I'm at 42 and you're at 3. So far I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
So far I'm doing better. You know, you started off over here, Jeb. You're moving over further and further. Pretty soon you're going to be off the end.
This doesn't do a...
Here's a guy that buys a house for $179,000. He sells it to a lobbyist who's probably here for $380,000, and then legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have as president.
He's had the gall to go after
the World
my
Trade
mother.
Center came
He's
down
had
during
the gall
your brother's
to go after
reign.
my mother.
Remember that.
Hold on. Let me finish this. He's had the gall to go after my mother.
That's not keeping
Look, I
us
won
safe.
the lottery when I was born 63 years ago and looked up and I saw my mom. My mom is the strongest woman I know.
She should
this
be
is
running.
not about my...
Take 30 seconds.
Let me just, he wants to be a tough guy. A lot of times you'll have, and it doesnesn't work very well with
How tough is it to take property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk. Quiet.
How tough is it?
A lot of times, that's all of his donors and special interests out there. So, that's what it is. And by the way, let me just tell you, we needed tickets. You can't get them. You know who has the tickets I'm talking about to the television audience? Donors, special interests, the people that are putting up the money. So it is. The RNC told us we have all donors in the audience, and the reason they're not loving me, the reason they're not loving me is I don't want their money. I'm going to do the right thing for the American public. I don't want their money. I don't need their money. And I'm the only one up here that can say that. This is true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq. If this is true, then he's a corrupt politician. Right. So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody's President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
Laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I have to respond to that.
Please,
because look,
very quickly.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
Is this
that's
where you're
exactly
going?
what.
This is where he's going. The laptop is Russia,
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You
okay?
have to be kidding. Here we
Mr.
go
President,
again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the issue.
Then we have some pre-debate propaganda coming from Janet Yellen's husband about the economy.
Call this the weaponization of economic reports. If you missed it, this week, 16 Nobel Prize-winning economists are warning voters about the risks of a second Trump presidency. The group, which is led by Joseph Stiglitz and George Akerlof, who also happens to be Janet Yellen's husband, writes in part, quote, while each of us has different views on the particulars of various economic policies, we all agree that Joe Biden's economic agenda is vastly superior to Donald Trump. It's that the timing of the report is likely not by accident. The election is a long time out, but the first presidential debate is tomorrow night.
I'll also tell you something I told President Trump, and I'll tell you as well, is I give him a lot of credit for doing this debate on the terms that were effectively set by Biden. Hosted by CNN in Atlanta without a live audience would be the equivalent of Joe Biden agreeing to do a Fox News hosted debate in Alabama with 3,000 live audience members. So I give Donald Trump a lot of credit for that. If you're going to lead the country, you got to be able to show up, and that's exactly what he's doing.